Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Law-splaining the Interwebs. Where is my microphone? I'm your host, Nick Rekieta of Rekieta Law, a small law firm in central Minnesota. And I mean, every day we stray further and further from clean shaven and haircut. Every day of this lockdown is more time where I am not dutifully trimmed. I feel just a little bit scruffier. Oh boy, how are you guys doing? Happy Easter to you. Happy post-Easter to you. Tell you what, Jesus is not the only man coming back from the dead on me. We've got all sorts of weird stuff happening. I've been getting weird comments, weird things, people real concerned about, like my life and stuff, which is great. I'm always glad when people are concerned for my well-being and that of my family. It's always nice, and they express their concern to me. Thank you, I appreciate it. Oh my goodness. This is the last great drink left by my man Drexel. So figured I'd put this one down. Yes, we're going to talk a couple subjects tonight. We've got a DSP update. I know a lot of people have been talking about this being converted into an asset case. We've got, a little bit of that. There's not much to talk about that hasn't really been said on that, but I'll touch on it. But there's a document, and let me be very clear. I get a lot of these questions. If you are going to ask me if I watched so-and-so's video on X subject that I'm covering, especially a legal subject, the answer is probably no. And that is no slight to anyone. But one, I don't have a ton of time to watch stuff. Most of my YouTube time goes into being a YouTube creator, and then the rest of my computer time kind of goes into Twitch, that's just how it is. And then the rest of my daytime activity is usually me hanging out with my family. Stuff like that, especially during quarantine when they're all home all the time. So, I don't know what has been specifically covered on DSP, but I saw some new to me filings, just kind of covering stuff that we already had talked about before, but finalizing it for the court. So we're going to talk about that. We'll talk about the asset stuff. We'll take a peek at a couple things. And what is this? Open the file. Oh my God, what a disaster. Hold on. But we'll talk about these things in kind of brief terms. I know there might be some people here who just care about DSP, and that's fine. I'm going to do it in just a minute. I want to give people enough time to filter in. Lots of times we get people filtering in for the first 15 to 20 minutes. So I will be hitting on DSP first. I want to give people time to filter in for that. That way, if they want to, if that's all they're here for, they can filter out. If they want to hang around, obviously more than welcome. What else you doing during a quarantine? Nobody knows. Nobody knows anything. All right, let me get this. DSP, where are you? There we go. DSP. Let me get that one pulled up. All right. So we've got the DSP stuff. Then we've got Suzy Lou. Someone I've never heard of is this Suzy Lou, and I'm getting requests from people to talk about Suzy Lou. Who is this? I don't know. And then I check it out. I go watch 5 seconds of a Suzy Lou video, and I'm like, oh, It's just rampant copyright infringement. That's fine. That's good. Okay. So we're gonna do that. We'll do the test. We'll pick a random Suzy Lou video. Just completely random. One that I've never watched. Watch like 20, 30 seconds of it and give an idea of what's going on. But the weird thing is, I hear she's getting, she's tagging streams for community guidelines violations or something like that. Something about having a forehead the size of a skyscraper? I don't know. That seems mean, guys. We don't use mean words here. Mean words are rude. Mean words are rude. So I'm just saying, I don't hold these opinions. I don't know anything about this chick. But we're going to look at it at her video from a legal standpoint, and we'll take a peek. But you know, if she's abusing the reporting system on guideline strikes, then she sucks. That said, that won't weigh into our decision on what the copyright looks like. We've got EVS accused of fraud. And if you're an EVS fan, you know that I was on his show earlier today. Spoiler alert, I looked at the information and the accusations and stuff, and I think they're relatively unfounded. I can see where some confusion may have come in, but I think with his clarifications, we've got we're under no illusions that there was anything like fraud committed. Everybody's looking for fraud. You know who isn't looking for fraud on random Indiegogo campaigns that make 15 grand? Anybody who can prosecute it. You're just not. They're just not. One, again, to be clear, I'm not saying that that's the reason there's not fraud. But the beefs that anyone on social media may have with a random YouTuber over fraud claims, the amount of work it takes to get a fraud claim locked down to a prosecutable level, the amount of proof that you need to have is monumental. And if you're coughing up some ideas on what the fraud might be on social media, you frankly probably don't have it. You're likely missing part of the story. It's not to say that it's never there. It's just a fraud case from a criminal perspective is a very, very big endeavor. People lie all the time on court documents, for example. People defraud the court and don't get charged. You have to understand how big of a thing it is to actually get a fraud case in front of a prosecutor. They're going to go, you know what? Yeah, that's what I want to do. And it probably isn't $15,000, and it probably isn't what at worst I can describe as maybe a lack of proper investigation by Ethan into an advertising into a bit of advertisement copy that he received. So we'll talk about it a little more in detail. That's the EVS stuff, and then we'll round off with some Corona stuff. It's just going to be me ranting about freedom, probably intoxicated at that point, talking about some articles I've seen lately, some stuff that's been happening in the news. The Santa Cruz Police Department giving 7 gentlemen tickets of $1,000 apiece for getting together outside in the evening to have a drink together in violation of hosting a gathering of any size. Well, who is hosting it? And isn't hosting a gathering, that's different than attending a gathering? So I don't know. All we have is a little news blip from the police as a publicity stunt. And I have personal problems whenever the police are using their platform to promote the fact that they charge people with the $1,000 criminal penalty for something. They're cheering on it. These guys were outside. They didn't go break up the party, right? That's, hey, we came across some guys who drove in from another town to meet up and have some drinks. We understand you guys are getting a little stir crazy inside, but we gotta ask people to stay home. We sent these guys home. We told them the next time we run into something like this, there could be tickets and fines. That's how you police this stuff. You don't start slapping out fines and then bragging about it on Twitter like a 14-year-old. This is a police department. This is a police department of a town. Like, haha, we got them and their essential drinks. Hey, eat shit. I hope every one of those guys fights that ticket. Every single one of those guys. Anyway, we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about our politicians' plan to let us go back to our lives. Isn't that nice? Did you guys know that the East Coast and the West Coast, guess what side of the aisle all of those things fall on, have gotten together to determine when our nation will open back up for commerce? Just those guys. Want to know why that electoral college was invented, by the way? Because New York, Massachusetts, Connecticut, who else? I think Delaware, Rhode Island, and California, Washington, and Oregon have gotten together, and they will determine when the nation opens back up. They will. Not you, not your company, not the president. Not that I think the president should have the ability to shut down anything, but I do think that maybe states interfering with interstate commerce might have some resistance from the federal government, and the federal government may have grounds to step in on that. Okay, I gotta save the corona stuff because I'm gonna get pissed off too early. Is that a ponytail or just needing a haircut? Oh, buddy, there's no ponytail. It's all just ratty. Just ratty stuff back there. Oh my God, I need a haircut bad. All right. And finally, oh baby, we're gonna dip into the Lagavulin a little bit. Okay. DSP in just a moment. I'm gonna take care of the initial super chats. We'll do some DSP. And, I mentioned this on Twitter. Some of you may or may not have seen it. And so I will mention it here again. This is preserved for all time. Some people have talked to me. A lot of people have given me suggestions and submissions for educating me on DSP lore. Because I don't know a ton about it. I just know what's in the documents and what a few people have told me, right? And some of you have seen that I did a stream with the owner of Kiwi Farms, Josh Moon, talking about DSP as well. And I know some of you have seen it because I've seen a whole bunch of criticism about how much stuff Josh got wrong on that video, which is great. Because there's tiers of knowledge. And so I will be putting together a stream, hopefully sometime soon, a very fun, relaxed stream to educate me on DSP lore. We're just going to go and we're going to make fun. I mean, we're going to find interesting things about Phil given to me. So that'll be fun. Chill DSP lore stream. Exactly. So I don't know who all is going to be on it. I've gotten some resumes, so to speak. But yeah, I will be hopefully following up on some of those. If you sent me one, you want to make sure your name's in the hat for the stream. Send me another message so I've got it fresh, because I get a lot of messages and sometimes they get pushed down the ranks. Don't be shy. Don't feel like you're going to be bothering me or anything like that, please. And if I don't get back to you, it's literally not personal. I'm trying, but a lot of stuff to manage. All right. Invite Tevin on the stream. Tevin's invited. I don't know his contact, but okay. All right. Sakaki Onsai says, here's some Trump bucks all about to be deposited. Now remember, if Suzy Liu attempts to copyright strike you, you take your law bones and pound back so hard that she'll have to extract herself from the ground, a la Wile E. Coyote. I don't think that she'll have any grounds for a copyright claim at all, because we're going to use very little of her footage, and we're going to criticize what's happening on the footage from a fair use perspective. That means I'm not going to be going, oh, wow. Oh, yikes. Whoa. We're going to actually talk about the aspects of the video and why they might or might not be infringing. So, Razor says, DSP thinking during bankruptcy phone call. This is stupid. I don't know what to do. This is bullshit. I don't know. I don't know how to do a DSP impression, but we'll do that one. Weirdo with a cello says, have leftover matzah, make matzah brie, take 6 sheets, break them into tiny pieces in a bowl, mix in 4 eggs by hand if you must, dump it in a skillet pan, smush it flat, and cook it like pancakes. Serve with maple syrup? Weird. I was thinking of making, I saw a matzah lasagna recipe, but my kids are just chowing down on it. They're like, it's a giant cracker. Okay. So, worst DSP ever. Thank you. I don't watch DSP. I don't know. Next, we've got Andrew Binns. Says, yo, rights are suspended. Said some cop busting a pastor. Lunacy. Yes. Chief Cliffy says, Nick, when it comes to my bae Nancy, is she held to any admissible laws, or is it all the autistic evidence she's been being sent by detractors all in play? Sorry, I'm a law simpleton. Who's Nancy? Oh wait, is that the trustee? Oh, that could be the trustee. I guess I could double check that real quick. What do we got? Trustee is that Nancy? Yeah, Nancy James. Here's the thing with, I do not advise this. I do not suggest this. I do not endorse this. I know people are sending stuff to the trustee, and I am not calling for people to do that. I don't care. I'm just watching the dumpster fire that is DSP's bankruptcy. Okay? If you're new to this channel, I don't do that. I actually encourage people to stay away and watch from a distance. On court matters especially, that is between the person and the court. In no way do I ever advocate any sort of action from anybody. But I know some people have contacted the trustee. As for admissibility, I think most of the stuff is stuff that the trustee will use to ask questions or locate other property or investigate what property is out there. Admissibility of evidence, most of that stuff is going to have to be verified by the trustee if they want to pursue it, or by a creditor. That's their job. People sending stuff in is probably not going to be admitted in a court document I don't even know. I can't even come up with a good name on the fly, but some internet screen name 32 said that you have four equestrian horses up at this stable. Is that true? That's probably not ever going to come up in a court document. But if someone were to hear about it and send it to Nancy, or if they know about something, she may use that information to look into and further investigate using the powers that a trustee has in a bankruptcy proceeding. May. Also may not. So that's kind of the answer there. That's just the way it goes. As for, any evidence that's actually used against Phil would be subject to the federal rules of evidence and admissibility. The primary ones have to be it's probative value, so it has to be probative for the court. It has to make a fact more likely true than not true. That's probability, or more likely untrue than true. It just has to push a fact question one way or the other. That's the probative nature of it. And the value probatively has to outweigh the prejudicial impact on the person. So that's the basic rule of evidence. Everything else that comes in, hearsay, I guess relevance, all of those things they have different arguments for them. Pretty hard to have a hearsay objection unless it's literally someone else said this about Phil and I heard it. That means it happened. That would be a hearsay objection. Other than that, properly admitting any evidence is up to the trustee or the creditors. That's up to them. All right, next. Mr. Guns says, hey, buddy, been a minute since I've caught a live stream since I changed companies. Hope all is well with you and your family during these crazy times. Stay safe. I'll tell you guys, my family is great. I am great. We've got a little bit of cabin fever, a little bit of stir crazy. We have 7 people in the same house and we can't really go anywhere most of the time. But outside of just the minor spats involved with having to be near your siblings all the time, we're doing pretty good. And we're all healthy, so that's great. Indie Visualist says, Suzy, who evidently is false flagging the quartering streams today, stating that his videos must have closed captioning for the hearing impaired. Could you address that, please? What? I hope that's true. You can't close caption a stream. I mean, you can later, but I don't think they do. I don't think YouTube does closed captioning on the fly, and I'm certainly, I'm not hiring a stenographer to sit there and type away what I'm saying. That would be ridiculous. If I did, they would close caption something completely different than what I'm saying on principle. It's the videos, not the stream. As far as I know, YouTube has no requirement at all for closed captioning. It's an option. You can enable it. You can submit your own closed captioning. I know they transcribe all of the streams by AI, like an AI bot transcribes all the streams. And there's a transcription that runs alongside. You can turn it on once the stream is fully processed. It's there. So I don't know. Very interesting. Yeah. I don't think YouTube can force us to turn on the closed captioning. I mean, they could just do it if they wanted to do that. So, and then finally, Andrew Bin says, Nick promoting court cuckoldry. We will sit in the corner and get snacks ready, boss. Exactly. No, here's the thing. Two big points about contributing to a court case. One, if you submit something wrong to the court, you are potentially opening yourself up to some kind of perjury. It's just not something most people want to do. 2, you're also potentially opening yourself up to some sort of harassment, either civilly or criminally. Not that Phil has a bunch of money to pursue a bunch of civil claims, but civil harassment and even criminal harassment are things. And if you are submitting truthful things according to the rules of the court, probably not going to be harassing someone. If anything happens that is untrue or against the rules of the court, and Phil makes a complaint about it, and you're identifiable, those things could come back to bite you in ways that it's just not something most people need to deal with. And I will say this, passing no personal judgment, because I don't care, but the guy on the DSP phone call who said he was from Citibank and then apparently went on Kiwi Farms claiming that he was the guy, apparently lied to the court, misrepresented himself to the court, misidentified himself to the court, and that very well could be a crime. Would he be charged with it? Probably not. Can they identify who it is? Unlikely, but you just don't do that. You just don't submit yourself to that. watch the trash fire. Maybe Phil survives it, right? That could be funny too. So we'll see. We'll see. All right, let's jump into these DSP documents. If you've seen this, I apologize. They were filed on April 7th. And this is in response to the request by, what is it, MidFirst Bank. They had asked to remove the automatic stay that was filed, or that comes along with the bankruptcy filing. So if you don't know, when you file bankruptcy in federal court or in state court, and you make that filing, at the moment you make the filing, there's an automatic stay on collection activities. Those collection activities must cease. That includes things like phone calls, it includes letters, and it also includes bigger things like foreclosures, collection actions through the through like a collection agency or a third party, lawsuits. All of that is stayed straight out. So they asked for an order terminating the stay, giving lots of reasons for why it should be terminated. We did go through the document on this show, and this is on the Connecticut property, which I didn't redact because it's not his personal it's not his primary residence anymore. Plus, this is from a public document. So, we've got Concerned Citizen says, "Hey, Mike Miller, stop listening to the figs like Methwin and Thomas Roylup and pay Kyle what you owe." So I think that's in relation to Comicsgate. But I'm not super up on the drama there. I kind of hate it. Kind of hate the drama. Don't hate Comicsgate. Like those guys. Hate the drama that seems to be orbiting right now. Okay, so the matter came before the court on the motion for relief from automatic stay filed by MidFirst Bank. Based upon the record on file and representations made to the court, it is hereby ordered. This order affects the real property located at 3699 Broadbridge. Automatic stay is terminated as to movement. So MidFirst Bank has had the stay on this property terminated. They can now pursue collection actions against DSP. It says here, movement may pursue all remedies under state law in connection with the property and security interests and may commence or continue any action necessary to obtain complete possession of the property, free and clear of claims of the bankruptcy estate. So this means they can go ahead and they can take the property. They can foreclose on it. They can evict Phil in the same. I mean, he's not there. They can take possession of it. I mean, they have to still do this by the normal state process. They have to file for it. They probably have to get a court order to go ahead and do that, unless Phil were to willingly turn it over. But they can do that. And that also means that they will likely end up with an unsecured debt of somewhere between $40,000 and $60,000 against Phil. The bad part for Phil is his bankruptcy case will probably be done prior to a foreclosure on that property, which means his bankruptcy will not discharge that debt, likely, because that debt will be created after the bankruptcy is finished, if the foreclosure takes that period of time. So if you don't know, if you owe the bank $100,000 on a $50,000 property and they foreclose upon it, you don't get that $100,000 to go away unless the bank wants it to go away, right? Because you owe them $100 and your property's only worth $50, but it's not even worth $50 because there's also a cost of sale that's involved. There's any court fees or sheriff fees or service fees that may be involved in taking possession of the house. Foreclosures cost banks $20,000 to $30,000. That's going to get tacked on as your loan amount because you're going to have to end up paying for that because you didn't pay the loan. So that will likely be added, whatever the cost is. Now, I'm not familiar with how Connecticut does their foreclosure process specifically. It varies state to state. What happens in Minnesota is an auction. An auction is provided to auction the property off to the highest bidder. What the banks are allowed to do is the banks are allowed to leverage their existing debt as auction price for the property, which means if you owe $30,000 on a property, the bank gets to bid $30,000 against the debt it already holds on the property. It's theirs. It's their money. So the bank can pay itself $30,000, and then the remaining balance goes, gets put onto a loan, right? So that means that no one's going to be buying it for less than the value that is out there because the bank will just put the minimum bid in. I don't know if it's the same in Connecticut. I would wager it probably is, but don't hold me to it because I just don't do foreclosures in Connecticut. That being said, Phil's already 50 grand in the hole on this property. They foreclose on it and they're the low bidder. Now, if they can get someone else to come in and bid it up and actually pay more than what is owed on the property, that credit goes to Phil towards paying the debt. And by some ungodly miracle, someone were to pay over the amount owed and over any fee additions that would be on there, the bank could actually have to return money to Phil. Unlikely. The value of this property is something like $60,000. I think he owes $115 or something. I don't remember the exact numbers. He's underwater by like $50,000. It's really unlikely that there would be a bidding war that would drive it up that high. But I guess it's possible. If you want to own a piece of DSP nostalgia and you're a billionaire or whatever, go dump a bunch of good money after bad property. But that being said, the likely outcome is that a bank comes in, buys it for what it's worth, or someone comes in. And remember, the bank has a lot of flexibility to buy on this property. They really do. So they're probably going to bid up to the value of the property, up to what they think the market value of the property is, because they still have leeway on the loan over the value of the property. But that's here. Movement at its option may offer, provide, and enter into any potential forbearance agreement, loan modification, refinance agreement, or other loan workout/loss mitigation agreement as allowed by state law. That means that Phil could, in theory, arrange a short sale of the property. Again, it's way underwater, and it's really, really unlikely that they would do this, especially because that outstanding amount would be converted to unsecured credit to Phil unless they moved into a junior position on his existing property or something like that, and which would also be a very risky move. There's a lot of risk in doing that, but in theory, they could allow Phil to do a short sale and absolve him of the debt on the property. Maybe if he finds... honestly, if he found a buyer to buy it for about $100,000, they may consider that. Maybe 90. Again, it's really unlikely that they would do that, but it's also really unlikely he would find a buyer at that amount in any reasonable amount of time. But they can do it. They can do that. They can also refi. They can forbear the payments if Phil thinks that he'll be able to maintain it. He said his plan was to let it go. Very unlikely that he would be moving into some sort of agreement with them, but they have the right to do those negotiations now. So that's kind of an interesting play. I don't think the bank's going to do it. He just owes them way more money. It'd be better for them in my opinion, not the bank, but it would be better for them to foreclose on the property probably after the bankruptcy is done, and then go ahead and tack on a new unsecured loan for the amount owed plus cost of sale. And think about it. MidFirst Bank, right? I keep forgetting their name. MidFirst Bank. They know how much DSP makes actually, at least. They know he makes 10 grand. They know he's claiming 5 grand of business expenses and then an additional 5 grand of personal expenses. They know that those personal expenses seem to include this mortgage that he's not paying. They know. They already know this. They know how much he makes. So if he's able to get debt discharged, if he's able to get some sort of payment agreement, even if it's not discharged, but if it gets converted to a Chapter 13 and he gets a consolidated payment amount per month, they know that he seems to be misrepresenting his income. Not that I'm saying he is. It just kind of really looks like he's misrepresenting his income and that he may actually have the ability to pay on this. And that could be what does him in. So we'll see. Who knows? Who knows? Unfortunately, now a foreclosure filing is typically public, but unless you're local, you may not ever know when this happens. Unless they provide, like if they were to move on it really quickly, they could provide a notice of discharge to the court prior to the bankruptcy being resolved. That's possible. It's just unlikely. It's likely that this debt will remain outstanding throughout the pendency of the bankruptcy. We'll see. We'll see. So, probably, unfortunately for Phil, I'm sure there is someone local who probably is interested enough to watch to see if there's a foreclosure on the property that they have the address to and the name of the debtor on. So, Movement may contact debtor via telephone or written correspondence to offer such an agreement. Any such agreement shall be non-recourse unless included in a reaffirmation agreement. The relief granted herein shall be binding and of full force and effect on any conversation of this case to any other chapter, conversion of this case to any other chapter. A conversion to another chapter does not stay or enjoin the effect of this order. So if they do happen to change this to a Chapter 13, he doesn't suddenly get out of this. It doesn't suddenly say, oh, wait, now he gets the automatic stay reinstated. Nope. This order will live through that. Or prevent movement from foreclosing and selling the property and recovering its costs unless otherwise ordered by this court. So there you go. Not a good look for DSP. It's got people interested in this. He's got creditors watching this. It's important to note that Phil did not object to the motion. The motion for the termination of the stay was filed. Phil was admitted to being served the motion. He knew the motion was occurring and he did not object to it. So he didn't fight this. MidFirst didn't get some victory that they had to claim over Phil. They just did a procedure and they were awarded it. There was no opposition to it at all. That opposition would have cost money also. So, you know. As for the classification of this as an asset case, I'll comment on that briefly. I want more information from the court before I really run wild with this. I know a lot of people are talking about it, but an asset bankruptcy versus a non-asset bankruptcy is when the court, I guess, has information leading them to believe that there are assets that they can convert into an estate for the bankruptcy to help with the discharge of debts. That may mean that they believe there's property that the court could liquidate to generate a pool of money to pay off debtors. They can't do that with secured property. Typically, secured property is going to pay out to the lien holders, mortgage holders. It's going to pay out to the first lien holders on those properties. That's just how it goes. They secured it. You don't get to change that with a debt. It would be very, very unfair for a first mortgage holder if some unsecured credit card lender who took on substantially more risk by giving someone unsecured debt got a piece of the house that they have a promise that they get if he can't pay, right? So that's not going to happen. If it's an asset case, they do believe that there are some non-exempt assets that may be available for the court to then pay out appropriately proportioned to the creditors who file claims. And we do know that some creditors have filed claims, mostly Citibank. I think Citibank has filed 3 claims on this. I'll double check that real quick. Claims register. We have the Washington Department of Revenue. Apparently Phil owes them $312. We've got Citibank, and Citibank in amounts of $13,885, $15,601, and $8,508. So if Citibank's paying attention, it's just a matter of time before we find out if the other creditors here. I guess I can, let me make sure there's nothing specifically docs material on this. I guess I can show you. There we go. Here is the list of the creditors who have filed claims so far. They said Washington Department of Revenue, Citibank. Here are their different claims. There are more creditors than this listed. But these are the ones that have actually filed with the court. And that's important. If the other creditors don't file, they may not be able to claim, if they don't file, a valid claim with the court, they may not be able to get any of the assets back. And some creditors may just chalk it up as a loss. They may not be following this. Citibank has a significant amount of money out to Phil. Looks like about 40 grand. Maybe a little bit less than 40 grand. And that's, if there's assets there, like say a PayPal account that wasn't disclosed originally, but turned up later, there's assets in that PayPal account. There's assets in a Streamlabs account, for example. Those things could be liquidated and provided very easily to creditors. Those are great claims. Those are great assets because there's no cost of liquidation. So, that would be unfortunate for Phil. But yeah, they love cash, right? And there may be more questions about that. I thought it was particularly ominous when the trustee said, normally 1 month would be fine, but I want to look at 6 months of each of these in this case. Kind of not a good place to be. The real sad thing is I don't think there's any value in Phil's WWE account that they could extract to give to a creditor. That would be trouble. It'd be hard to do. So, But again, this is still considered a Chapter 7 case. It has not been converted to Chapter 13 yet. I think that there's a good chance, and they start investigating those expenses. That this thing could get converted to Chapter 13. And they say, look, we're not discharging the debt. We're just going to set you a manageable payment amount. Or they could, if they're really dissatisfied, if they think that Phil actually misrepresented his expenses intentionally to the court could just shut down the bankruptcy. You don't have a right to a bankruptcy. Like, the court doesn't have to grant it. So they could just shut it down and let the creditors have at him. That is a possibility as well. We've mostly talked about conversion up to this point, but that is a remedy that's available to the court. If you are lying to the court, that's one of the meaner remedies they can do, aside from sanctioning you or slapping a fine on you or something like that too. But one of the sanctions is just to deny the bankruptcy. So that's a possibility as well. And only time will tell on this. And, the Corona-chan is making things very, very interesting about that. So who knows? All right. There's some more chats here that we need to get to. Phoenix Aurum says, hey, Nick, just completed my 14-day mandatory self-isolation since being diagnosed with mild COVID symptoms at the end of March. I'm drinking Venom vodka with peach juice, Pour one and have one with me. Well, I don't have Venom vodka or peach juice, but I've got this Lagavulin 16 that I've been nursing calmly. And yeah. It has been a while. I mean, Friday. But before Friday, it's been a while since I've had a Lagavulin. Really, really, really good stuff. Sexy bearded Viking wizard, the badass Aussie. Says, there is a new LOL clip of Ron invading Monica's stream. Dropped you a mention on it in Twitter for your enjoyment. Thank you. I haven't watched that clip. I did watch Monica's other clip where she talked about wanting to get away from Ron or whatever. Nervous laugh. Look, if the remote stops working on the TV, it never stops working on his personal fiance. It's funny. I'm letting other people kind of run with that as much as they want to cover it. I'm not super interested, other than a passing joke here or there. That's it is funny and good stuff, but it's not my cup of tea. I need to watch the clip of him jumping into that stupid stream they were doing. The thing I noted about that stream is it's really funny how offended Monica and Jamie Markey were that someone else who was on the stream was sent recording equipment to work from home by Disney. And Monica and Jamie Markey have apparently forgotten that they're independent contractors. And if your employer starts doing things like providing you equipment, you move closer towards that employee rather than contractor status, especially if they provide you equipment and then start requesting specific recording time. You are then really close to being an employee, no matter what your contract paperwork says. And it's almost like they're in a lawsuit where people might point out if they were given equipment for by their employer that a report to the IRS on Funimation could really cause a lot of troubles. So, very funny. That's what I saw. But I didn't see the part where Ron invaded yet, so I do need to watch that. Justin Watkins says, but isn't the worst thing that can really happen is DSP's credit just sucks? DSP's credit already sucks. As long as he keeps his house payments up in Washington, they can't take it, right? Pretty much. Could any of the creditors garnish his Twitch earnings? I don't know. I don't know how wage garnishment in Washington works. It's really hard to garnish a properly prepared self-employed person. It's just really hard to do. If your assets are structured right and you're able to structure your income through a business appropriately. Now, Phil has not done that to date, but he could do that at a future date. If your business income is structured appropriately and you're only taking the amount you need out of the business, then it's kind of hard to take wages above and beyond that, depending on what state you're in. In Texas, it's almost impossible. In Washington, I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with collection in that state, but his credit's already in the tank. If he gets his bankruptcy, that's the best case scenario because his credit sucks, but he won't have the debts to pay anymore. He will get some of them discharged. Specifically, the unsecured stuff could be discharged. We'll see what happens. Cabria Cousin says, Nick, got anything to wipe the memory of Ron calling himself Master Blaster? God, it's so creepy. Here, buddy. Memory tonic. Guys, never brag about your sex life online. Just don't do it. It's embarrassing. Very, very embarrassing. All right. I think that about covers it on Phil. I think that about covers it on DSP. For the new stuff that I've seen. Like I said, other people are covering this, and it's very possible, even likely, that they have seen something I have missed, or they know something through the lore that I am not familiar with. So I encourage you to check out that stuff. That's that's what you if that's what you're into, go ahead and do it. I'm going to move on to talking about Suzy Lou. Suzy Lou. Let me find that YouTube channel. Suzy Lou on YouTube. Okay. We got to get some headphones for this. My reaction website launches tonight. That was 2 months ago. Okay. I apologize immediately for the quality of any other streamer. Not because I think it's bad, but just because I have no idea. This chick looks like, who's that? Let's see here. There's some YouTuber who does, she's a vocal coach or whatever. And she reviews like vocal performances. She's Irish or something. I don't know. She's prettier than Suzy, but similar look. You guys know who I'm talking about? All right. What should we pick here? This is the one I watched a little bit of. The Boar Bears Its Fangs, Demon Slayer episode 12 is the one. YouTube will ban me for this. Prison School live action reaction. Oh God, I don't want to. We're not going to do that. This is gameplay walkthrough. That's probably, I don't know that gameplay falls in the same category. Let's do one of these anime things. My Hero Academia episode 13. Does she watch the whole episode of stuff? Is that what's going on here? Look at these. 1744, 1827. All right. Beth Roars. Yeah, Beth Roars. I said, Beth is prettier, but she just...
What is up, everyone?
Okay. Okay. Whew. I'm going to skip her intro. We're going to pick a spot here. All right. 4 minutes and 51 seconds. Oh, she looks very concerned. First thing I'm going to note is she makes the stream image mostly transparent. This is a blatant attempt to avoid the copyright algorithm picking up on the fact that she's watching an existing property that is probably got a content creation claim, right? Or a content ID. It's in the content ID algorithm. I'm guessing. She literally has one eye. Okay. But yeah, she makes this very, very transparent. It's very faint. That doesn't make it not copyrighted. Oh God, how embarrassing. That doesn't mitigate the copyright. That doesn't go to fair use either. Like, she's still showing the content. It all matters in how her reactions contribute to the content to make what she's doing a new work. All right? This is how fair use works. You have to make a new thing out of the old thing. Not just accentuate, elaborate, or react to what the old thing is. If something's funny and you say, ha ha ha, that's funny, that's not creating a new thing. If something is supposed to be funny, and then you take the joke that is said on the screen and you criticize the joke, like you're a joke auditor or something, otherwise just known as like that one friend you hate. If you're a joke auditor, you talk about what elements of the joke were bad or good, and you talk about why it's funny or unfunny. Sure, then that's creating something new. So this is, it's similar to, well, heck, Beth Roars is a great example. Beth Roars listens to a song, lots of times a live performance of a song, and then she's rebroadcasting it, sometimes in full, sometimes not, and she is picking apart different things with her vocal coach expertise, whatever that may be, and she is talking about what they're doing. She's creating something new. You're not watching the Beth Roars video to listen to the song. You're watching the Beth Roars video to get her take as a vocal coach on the song. So, here we go.
Please do not fret. Look at him. He has definitely weakened. The children appear to be frozen in fear. And look, our underlings are recovering.
Oh, she's about to talk. Hold on.
Oh, God.
Still have a few minutes before...
That was not transformative. Let's just be clear on that. That, oh God, is not transformative at all. That's not gonna do it. Let's see. Got something better for me.
Their reinforcements arrive. If you and I work together, we can do this. We haven't missed our chance to kill All Might.
Oh no! Midoriya's gonna have to step in.
I mean, the big...
That's not it either. She has to be criticizing the composition of the work to make it transformative. She has to be talking about the animation. She has to be talking about the voice work. Like she could say that, hey, I heard that the guy voicing the character, whoever was just on right now, is a massive, bald, fat cuckold who may or may not have a casting couch. That's what I've heard about him. I don't know. That's what she's saying. I didn't say that. That's what she should have maybe said. Something like that. And she could say he uses a lot of the same voices in his anime. If you notice, he's like Mr. Popo, and he's Kami, and he's Yamcha, and he's Piccolo, and Vegeta, right? He's the same guy in all of these different things because he's one-dimensional and kind of maybe just suggested that Colin Clinkybeard lied or something. A whole bunch of stuff. She could be criticizing the composition of the work. She could say that the animation isn't very good. Or she could say that the studio that's dubbing this, for example, is a bunch of social justice betas who are out to change not only the Western dubbing of anime, but they're now trying to weasel their way in Japan and ruin anime from the source. She could say stuff like that. She could talk about how the Japanese who illustrated this did a really good job on the line work, on the hands. I don't know. I'm not an art. I don't know anything about that. But she could be doing stuff like this, criticizing the composition of the work to change it for what it is, like I'm doing now. This is not critical in any way or transformative. Let's see if she does any better.
The end boss is right here.
Oh no.
I think all
Nope,
my
not
not going against those two main guys.
Oh no crap is not it either. You're not doing it. You're not doing this correctly. This is not at all transformative.
Let's make sure these dudes don't hurt anybody else. Will you be joining us?
No, we're...
These villains toy with him.
What the hell was that? Again, nothing. She has contributed absolutely nothing to the show. She's contributed absolutely... You have no knowledge. She hasn't even talked about, from a plot perspective or from a criticism of the character development perspective, what's going on in the scene. I know nothing about My Hero Academia other than literally what I'm watching right now. Never watch a show, don't care about it, nothing. And she has not given me any insight into what's happening in this episode, why it's important, why this guy's hand looks like it's high. She doesn't do anything for this.
He's done.
Why do they keep showing fists? This is weird.
Ah!
So this is it.
Consider this revenge for what you did to Momo.
Holy shit.
All right, here's what I got to do next. I don't think I'm going to get anything out of this lady. I'm going to skip ahead to another part and just see if we get something different. Because so far, nothing. Nothing at all. This is completely a waste.
I really am.
You really are what? Hold on.
Excited. It's like... I can't believe that Midoriya actually saved his life, though. It's like tearjerker. I'm excited for their relationship. I really am.
Okay, now let's talk about this, because some people might think that this stumbles into transformative. There's actually a case involving Jukin Media, right? Not the MXR versus Jukin Media controversy that happened, but there's a case on file about Jukin Media, and it speaks to exactly what this chick is doing right now. All she did was highlight something that happened in the clip. That's it. That's it. Presumably. She said, she's talking about the guy who saved him, and then focusing on the value that the video already inherently possessed. The video already possesses the value of that person saving the other person. That's part of the story. That's what happened. And now she's excited for their relationship, which is already part of the story. She has not transformed the work. Just talking about a work at a longer length than isn't transformative either. You cannot highlight the thing that the work is already intending to highlight. Again, saying that's funny isn't transformative. Saying, whoa, that was scary isn't transformative. What would be transformative would be to talk about why. Or to say that they should have gone a different way. Or to criticize, again, criticism or parody or satire are the things that make the work different than what it is. We're going to watch about 30 more seconds, and then I got to be done with this wonderful person.
Those kids were so strong. And the symbol of peace wasn't weakened at all. You were wrong, Master. So wrong.
No, I wasn't. We just weren't as prepared as we should have been. I agree. We underestimated them.
I agree. We underestimated them. Generic anime voice number 4. Oh, God. American voice acting is such garbage.
Thankfully, we failed under that cheap League of Villains name and not our own. And what about the creature the Master and I created? Where is Nomu?
Well, he blasted off to another dimension.
We didn't have...
I'm guessing that happened in the show. Thank you for telling us what just happened. That's not transformative, dummy. Oh, my God. All right. I'm gonna be done. Okay. Ooh, let me give some closing thoughts on Suzy Lou. All right. How many? This chick has 372,000 subscribers for what? What does she do? She's useless as far as content, as far as I can tell. Maybe some of her other stuff. But I think people are actually just watching My Hero Academia episode 13. Oh my goodness. I think that's what is happening. Jealous? Hell yeah, man. You know what I could do with 372,000 subscribers? Oh, boy. Lots of fun. Good stuff. Here's the thing. Maybe somewhere in this video, she provides some fair use material. I'm not going to sit and watch 17 minutes and 45 seconds of her doing that. I'm not going to watch her not do it. She seems to have just reproduced the entire work in video. She does have some edits. I don't know. I haven't watched the show. I haven't watched episode 13 of My Hero Academia, and I won't anytime soon. Very, very unlikely. So it's possible that she has cut out... Excuse me. It's possible that she has cut out significant portions of the show. I don't know. I'm told that she basically reproduces the whole thing. That being said, it's up to the content owners to make the copyright claim. Now, she's worked out a system which apparently gets rid of the content ID algorithm. Good job for her, I guess, figuring that out. Would her claims survive copyright action? Really hard to say. This is just, I've taken, a couple minute sample. The couple minutes that I've watched, no, they're not transformative at all in the slightest. And unless she does something very significant during the work, then she is not going to be beating a copyright claim. Should they file a copyright claim against her? I don't know. If these are monetized, she makes decent money on them. I'm not sure. She's making money on Patreon on it. What's her Patreon? Is she one of these people? Oh, these awful people. They hide all their Patreon numbers. Always do. Especially the e-thoughts. But, who knows? Who knows? Is creating reaction videos exactly within the copyrighted works potential claim? Yeah. I mean, I don't know how much she makes. But 372,000 subscribers. Let's take a look at these. Take a look on our Social Blade. Not to get their estimations of how much she makes, because Social Blade's estimations of how much people make are garbage. Don't ever trust them. Those ranges that they come up with are absolute trash. They have no basis. All right, she's getting 70 to 150,000 views a day. Her average is 98,000. Look, 100,000 views on a video is $150 a day. Not counting Patreon. That's if it's monetized. That's if it's monetized and monetized relatively effectively. But $150 a day is no shameful amount. That's every day. Let's see. That's $55,000 a year. That's now she may make more than that. That's just this month's average. And she's lost a bunch of subscribers lately. So I don't know what her views are like. Okay, so she typically she gains 1 million to 2 million views a month. She was gaining 7.6 million views a month. What did she do in November? And she cut 22 million views in December. A couple million views a month. 3 million views. Whew. So, very, very possible that she's making quite a bit of money doing this. My estimate of 55,000 a year could be very, very wrong. I don't know. Again, I don't know how much she gets every month, but an 8 million video view month that she had in November, that's a lot. That's a lot of video views. I wonder if I can see. If I can give you any relevance here. Let's see. My average month is about, let's see. Lately, 600,000 to 700,000 video views. So she does about 3 times as well as I do. Wait, 4 times as well as I do on views. And I tell you, I make decent amounts of money. I don't know what else she does on YouTube. I don't know if she has sponsorships. I don't know what her Patreon is doing, but it's not the worst life. That's all I'm going to say. So, should someone file copyright claims on her? Man, I would DMCA the hell out of her if I was the legit copyright owner of a product like My Hero Academia. Yeah, that's a property. Those views that she's getting, those are DVDs not purchased. Those are monthly subscriptions not paid for. I don't know. Where's My Hero Academia? That's Funimation, right? Funimation, they probably want those dollars. Oh, does she also have an OnlyFans? That's good. Good job, her. I guess. But yeah, that's that's that. There's not much else to say from the content I've watched of hers, which is a couple minutes of this video and a couple minutes of the other video. She did nothing transformative. Does not look like fair use. Would be a really interesting case. Funimation usually is strong on copyright. She's in the UK, but she would be violating US copyrights for on YouTube, consenting to jurisdiction in San Francisco, I believe. It'd be up to Funimation to deal with that. That's, I believe, I don't know if the UK has a different license agreement or partner agreement or whatever than the US, but I would imagine it's not that much different, and she's probably subject to jurisdiction on copyright stuff here in the States. But they also could pursue it, I suppose, in the UK. Who knows? Let's see. What is this? Oh my goodness. Anthony Siebert says, I kid you not, Nick, he turns himself into a pickle and calls himself Pickle Rick. Funniest thing I've ever heard. Also, Suzy lose a stupid and had flag channels that criticized her. Yeah, I heard this. I'm undertaking the risk that she might flag my channel. I would be very upset if she did that. I wouldn't recommend it either. But that's just how it goes, I suppose. I don't believe I violated any guidelines. So, by discussing the legal implications of her very, very questionable copyright infringement, looks like copyright infringement streams. So that's up to her. Of course, I don't have any content, and believe me, if Funimation is the copyright holder, if I say it's copyright infringement, they may give her a job. They don't like me at all. Make no mistake. I am not putting Suzy Liu in any risk by pointing out to Funimation that someone might be screwing them over. Again, according to them, I am quite possibly the literal devil. So, Siren Jag says, damn it, Nick, I'm trying to drive home. I haven't heard such a raging hate hard-on since someone tried to deny you your 18 naked cowboys. Did someone get butthurt over a comic book cover? What? What are you talking about? Comic book cover? Are we talking about... I am not getting involved in the... Is that the Cecil and Anna stuff? I don't care about that at all. All right, let's move on to EVS fraud. EVS fraud. Very, very clickbaity. Very, very clickbaity. I do not... Oh, real quick. Harry Thompson says, so Nick, would Mystery Science Theater 3000 count as transformative to the work? Probably, but I believe that Mystery Science Theater actually licenses those works. If they're not in the public domain, I think they do actually purchase the rights to them. It's a stream I would love to cover. If I could ever get Mike Nelson on a show to talk about it. I think it would be fascinating to talk about just what they have to do a show, because I believe there's a lot of secrecy and stuff that goes into them, because when they express interest, other people will drive up the value of the property with bidding. So I would love to do that show. Mike Nelson, if you're out there, you want to talk about it sometime, let me know, buddy. I think that'd be great. But that being said, I'm not positive on that, but that's what I've heard. I've heard that they got licenses for the show. And in a similar way, Weird Al also does, even though his songs would almost definitely be considered transformative. You're not listening to a Weird Al song to hear Gwen Stefani. Obviously, you're listening to a Weird Al song to hear his take on it. I believe he similarly gets permission from the artist to avoid any sort of bad blood or beef between them. I know he at least used to try. I believe he still does. So, anyway, let's move on to Ethan Van Sciver. As some of you may or may not know, Ethan Van Sciver was on the show just the other day. I do consider Ethan a friend. And am ambivalent about his drama with other people, just like I am with most of my friends. That is between them and other people. I cannot overstate this. I hate YouTube drama and social media drama. I don't like to participate in it. I don't really care. If people want to talk stuff about me, for the most part, I just kind of let them do it. I don't try not to answer because it doesn't help that much. Now, I have in the past brought on a couple people to discuss openly their grievances with me, but it's not something I tend to enjoy doing. I would much rather make content and then be friendly with people. I hope people understand that. There are certain people out there, including someone who contacted me on Sunday, that want to stir up drama, and then they think that by stirring up drama or being critical of me, that they then deserve to be heard on my show to make me answer allegations that I find ridiculous or completely non-credible. It's not how I tend to operate. And so I just want that out there. I hate it. I know there's a ton of drama going on in the weeb wars. I stand with Vic stuff right now, and I like everybody involved in that just about. Or if I don't like them, I'm fine with them. They're an acquaintance or someone I've talked to, and I just hate it. It's such a waste of time, but that's what people want to talk about. That's fine. I just don't. So, that being said, I consider Ethan a friend. What he does, sometimes I agree with, and sometimes I disagree with. I heard him say some stuff today that I disagreed with. That's fine. That's Ethan. That's his. I'm not his parent or police. It's not my job. So anyway, on to the alleged fraud. Let me pull it up here. We'll go ahead and pull this up. As you know, he was on Vicky something or other. Vicky someone. Anybody know who that actually was? Vicky Speaks or something? I legitimately have never heard of this person. Vickyverse. I'm not his dad. I am his mom, though. J-Bet, the Tim Pool thing, I just happened to see this. The Tim Pool thing, you may still hear something about it from me. I don't know if that's been resolved, but I did find it very interesting. And I think there's a lot going on there, but I want to make sure I have my facts straight. I'll disclose this publicly. I've spoken with both Chris and Tim a little bit, not a ton, to each of them, getting a little bit of each of their sides, and you know, I have a limited fact set from each of them, and I want to make sure that before I'm saying anything about it, I don't want, you know, this part of being a lawyer is you got to make sure everybody understands when you are giving legal advice and when you're not. And so I want to make sure that I've got everything wrapped up on that. I know sometimes it's unfortunate for me. Sometimes that means that I don't get the scoop, and that's okay. That's, you know, my channel isn't here to scoop people on drama news or anything like that. Sometimes I don't get it, and that's fine. But I try to be as thorough as I can, so I don't want any illusions. I don't want any illusions about what I'm talking about, and I just try to get some research. Anyway, here we go. This is the campaign. It was for the Cyber Frog Ribbit Coin collectible coins. Okay, you could get. They had 6 coins. You get them individually. Excuse me. $25 per coin. Here we go. You get there were what? 8, 5, 12, so 25, 29, 36, 45 coins that were sold individually total. These are all the silver coins. That's what's in question. We'll talk about that in just a second. And then they had another 49 of the 6-packs claimed. So we're talking about what? 90, 49, 45, 94 things. And then the set of 6 golds were not at issue. There were 35 of those. So 94 total purchases here. We can do an estimate on this. So these are $200 times 35. Hold on. I should be at this 7,000. $200 times 35 is 7,000. 14,780 total. So about half of the campaign is the gold coins, and about half the campaign is the silver coins in question. Now, what happens here is this was actually edited at a later date, but this originally said that these were JFK half dollars straight from the mint, 99.9% silver, which are not available at any bank or in circulation. All right. And someone by the name of Thomas Royloop had discovered that these were not silver coins. Okay. They were not silver coins. They're actually nickel and copper, I think, right? Copper and nickel. Is that what it was? Like 75% copper, 25 nickel, or maybe back and forth. That's what it was. And that they're specific. They did a real deep dive into this. They pulled off the printed sticker on the cover of the commemorative coin, and they found out that it was minted at the mint that didn't do the silver coins. Now, the mint that makes these does have that coin, I shouldn't say that. There is a 99.9% silver JFK half dollar available from a particular mint, but not the mint that these coins came from. So it couldn't have been them. All right. No issue with the gold-plated coins, as far as I know. That's not an issue here. Here's the problem. So some people said EVS lied. He said they were 99.9% silver, false advertising, fraudulent inducement of purchases. Right? Very, very scary stuff. They even went ahead and cited the New Jersey law. Where are the updates? Here we go. They even cited the New Jersey criminal fraud statute, which we could maybe look up in a second. But they cited the very scary New Jersey criminal fraud statute. But here's the issue. On April 8th, Ethan posts an apology. Our mistake, your refund. Hey, everyone. So bad news, good news. Product description, the Cyber Frog Ribbit Coin collectible coins accidentally included an extra line by mistake. I wasn't aware of this, but it was brought to my attention by vigilant fans whom I thank. By the time the makers of Ribbitcoin realized it, it was too late. Now, this should give you a clue as to what Ethan is alleging happened. He's alleging that basically someone gave him copy to include. Copy is a written set of text that you're to include, like an advertisement copy, for example. If you're doing an ad read, you get ad copy and then you read the copy, and that's it. So not to use trade lingo here, just want to be clear on it. They gave him, looks like they gave him a set of copy that was incorrect, and he relayed that in the campaign. Talked to my licensee about what would be fair given this error and stated that I felt that it's best that we refund the money you paid, and they agreed. You're my customers, fans, supporters. I love and appreciate you. So you're getting your money refunded. And please keep the coins that you received. They're still beautiful and rare Cyber Frog collectibles. As I license my property to vendors in the future, and I definitely will, I'll be much more scrutinous in the campaign descriptions they provide. So EVS has openly accepted the blame for not being thorough enough on this. And that really should put to rest. But there's a lot of clues in here as to what it seems happened, right? As I license my property to vendors in the future, and I definitely will, I talked to my licensee. So someone has licensed the CyberFrog property, and they have said, we want to sell these coins. We would like you to promote it. EVS does a Indiegogo, a platform he's very, very adept at raising funds on. He does the Indiegogo to raise the funds. He has a campaign that is a success, as far as I can tell. I don't know, maybe not. Not as successful as some of his others in raw dollars, but for just an extra merchandising thing, that's not a bad thing. And the problem appears to be that they gave him bad copy to put in the description. I don't know. Maybe he wrote the description himself, and that's all just an elaborate hoax. I don't think so. But the fraud is undermined by this apology, not by making the apology and not by the refund. Those mitigate the potential losses from a fraud. Those can mitigate the impact of a fraud. They don't necessarily make a criminal act go away. To be clear, like if someone finds out you did a criminal thing and you just offer to give back everything you took, that doesn't make the criminal act go away. It's the language in here that should give us clues that there wasn't a criminal act on Ethan's part in the first place. There's also, if the people had read the New Jersey statute that they cited, right at the end, there's an exemption for publishers and television shows that do an ad read. Those publishers and television shows, that may in and of itself exempt Ethan from the acts of the licensee. All right. So anyway, long story short, did Ethan Van Sciver commit fraud? No. Should he have been more careful about the language that went into his ad thing? Maybe. I don't know. Someone sends you a thing and says, this is the product we're selling, and you try and sell it. Does Ethan take a loss on this? Yeah. I mean, refunding all that money? That's not fun. Wouldn't it be a bait and switch, though? If it was absolutely intentional. Going to be hard to prove. The criminal fraud statute covers the bait and switch. So it's going to be really hard to prove that there was any sort of fraud. It just doesn't. Let's see. There's just not much you can really prove here. You would have to prove that Ethan intended to defraud people. That he knew. You would have to prove that Ethan knew that this was not a silver coin, or that he should have known reasonably, and that he then presented this to induce a sale fraudulently. Now, could you allege that? Sure. Can you prove that beyond any reasonable doubt? Well, the fact that Ethan went on Vicky versus Stream today, and I believe provided receipts, showing that he was given the ad copy by the licensee, that's going to be a really tough sell. It's going to be a really tough sell for Ethan to be guilty of fraud. I mean, how does this impact what you think of Ethan? That's up to you. I'm just talking about the legality of it. I don't think anything would be credibly illegal here in any way. Could you try and make a civil case out of it? You could try. It would be a rough civil case. And what damages do you have? You've now gained coins and gained your money back. That basically obviates any civil case that occurred. So, that's that. There's not really much else to say on it. I don't know. I might condense it down into a shorter bit. I don't know. I'm not super interested in it. I said my piece on Ethan's stream today a little bit, and I don't think there's any criminal fraud that occurred. A lot of people look for fraud in Indiegogo campaigns and Kickstarters and stuff like that. Guys, there are people who have done way worse than this and have no criminal charges pending at all. It'd be really unlikely. So, that being said, let's move on. Let's move on from this. Again, I think if you want to go check out, I believe the Vickyverse stream is still up somewhere. I don't know if it's up on her channel or if it was, I assume it was archived very quickly, but you can actually check it out and see what evidence he had for himself. I know he did throw down a little bit of a gauntlet and say that if people keep saying that, he's going to be sending out cease and desist letters from his lawyers or something, and that he does not appreciate being accused of fraud, which could be per se defamatory. And now that people have the information available, might fall into defamatory speech. I'm not saying it does. That's very important. I'm not saying it does, but you know, that's a possibility at this point. I don't know. It depends on how much he wants to do it. So. All right. What else do we have here? We've got, I think we're moving on to the coronavirus ranting for a little bit, and then we'll wrap up the show. Probably do some Twitch. So, where am I? Okay. Oh, watch free, out of time. Denzel Washington. Watch free Tart. That sounds like a good show. Sunglasses. What is this? What are these ads? Can we get past them? Let's read the headline. Governors on East and West Coasts form pacts to decide when to reopen economies. Guys, if you are Corona-chan interested or not, you know, that's fine. If you're not interested in Corona-chan, you may want to check out during this segment. If you are super pro government taking over your job, your family, your travel, and your civil liberties, you may be annoyed by the following segment. This is a trigger warning, because I think that we are transcending from what some people might call reasonable restrictions into a bona fide infringement on our civil liberties. And I think that our civil liberties are about to become political poker chips in an election year for many of the people involved in making them. And as evidence, I'm going to provide you right now an article about Democrat states mounting up for a fight against a Republican president in an election year. And it's just your liberty and your income on the table that they're playing with. Your liberty, your income. So here we go. CNN says, states on the country's east and west coasts are forming their own regional pacts to work together on how to reopen from the stay-at-home orders each has issued to limit the spread of the novel coronavirus. Sounds noble, right? The first such group to be announced came Monday on the East Coast. Democratic New York Governor Andrew Cuomo said his state, New Jersey, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts each plan to name a public health and economic official to a regional working group. The chief of staff of the governor of each state will be part of the group, which will begin work immediately to design a reopening plan. That sounds like a group that's going to last a while. Does this sound like a group that will be deciding this in a week? No. That sounds like a group that has months of planning ahead of it. Later on Monday, the West Coast states of California, Washington, and Oregon also announced they are joining forces in a plan to begin incremental release of stay-at-home orders. Let's see. Rhode Island. Governor, Democrat Party. Okay. New Jersey. Governor, Democrat Party. All right. Pennsylvania. Governor is Democrat Party. Let's see. Connecticut. Governor is Democrat Party. Okay, who else do we got? Did I do Delaware yet? Delaware. Governor is John Carney. Who's John Carney? He's a member of the Democrat Party. Okay, I thought so. I just wasn't sure. Do you notice that there's not a Republican governor to be found? Now, this isn't a slight on Democrats in any way. It's really not. I'm just illustrating that the two coalitions deciding when to reopen the commerce of the country are in Democrat-led states, and they're beefing with a Republican president. Oh, I missed Massachusetts, didn't I? Let's see. Massachusetts. Thank you. Oh, that's a Republican. I was wrong. Charlie Baker of the Republican Party is in the boat. So my apologies. My apologies for getting that one wrong. There is a Republican there. So good job. Now it's all valid. Everything I say is no longer true. That's not true at all. It's not really about parties. There just is an overwhelming slant in one particular way. But yeah, lots of people are saying, Rhino, look, we're not getting into it. We're staying very surface level on this because it doesn't actually matter, so to speak. Governors of the three states will collaborate on their approach to getting back to business in, quote, in a safe, strategic, responsible way, as announced by California Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom. The collaborative approach by governors on both coasts underscored the massive and complex calculations that the nation is facing as it looks at steps to reopen the economy at both the federal and state level. What's the complex calculation? Is anybody familiar with a complex calculation? I mean, I get it. They're worried that if they're worried. They're not. But they're allegedly worried that if they reopen the states, that the virus infection rates will spike, and then the death rates will spike, and we'll have the same problem all over again. Okay, they're not, but they say they are. It's my personal opinion that they do not care about this. The real question, though, is here's the math. You either are going to have to reopen the states, or the governments are going to have to print trillions more dollars. A 1 month stimulus was $2 trillion for the United States. That is something like 80% of the federal income tax revenue just eliminated. And that's the majority of revenue that our country actually has, is the federal income tax. That's the majority of it. The corporate tax doesn't come close. So, what was the federal revenue 2019? Total federal revenue, $3.46 trillion. Good job. So, we've got $3.46 trillion. And How much of the... Let's see. Half of the federal year 2019 revenue of 3.422 trillion comes from income taxes. They contribute 1.7 trillion. So more than all of the combined income taxes for a year in which people work the full year was printed to do a stimulus for 1 month. 1 month. So that's the calculation. How many months can we afford? That's it. Whatever that number is. Now, we don't have a surplus amount of money sitting around in U.S. coffers. So we have to either print it or borrow it. So what can we afford? It's not a complex calculation. It really isn't. Let's see. Though the president has asserted that he has the authority to determine when the economy will reopen, governors and mayors around the country have moved swiftly in recent days to make it clear they control the levers of power in their own states and cities with their ability to maintain closures of businesses and schools and to enforce social distancing through their police departments. This actually is questionable. Now, they have done this to reinforce their authority, but there is this interesting part of the purpose of the Constitution, and that is to facilitate interstate commerce. And now we have all kinds of decisions that say that interstate commerce is literally you not buying something. That's interstate commerce. That is a regulatory power reserved to the Congress of the United States, and their authority supersedes state authority. The federal government has supremacy over the states on interstate commerce always. Now, does the president have the authority over the states? That's a little bit of a different question. It's a little bit of a different question. But certainly, the U.S. Congress does. And if the president can convince the Congress to get on board, then they have the authority to override the states entirely. Will they do it is a different question. But the U.S. Congress, or the U.S. federal government, wins on the commerce every single time. Every time. But that's an interesting thing. The announcements by the West and East Coast governors on Monday appeared to be an effort to preempt pronouncements coming from the president, who has said he will likely introduce his opening the country economic task force during his briefing on Tuesday. Governors on both coasts, they mean coasts, hammered the notion that their decisions will be driven by facts, science, and public health professionals, not politics. This is the most political line of bullshit you can find. Of course they're going to decide on politics. Of course they are. Of course they are. Why wouldn't they? Their lives are political. Their jobs are political. Their paychecks are political. Their elections are political. It's not even nefarious. It's just a function of the job. President Donald Trump foreshadowed the looming clash with local officials in a tweet Monday morning. He's foreshadowing the clash because this is written by CNN, so Donald Trump must acquiesce to the Democrat governors here, obviously. Because this, if you haven't noticed, this is slated just a little bit towards them. No idea why. With local officials in a tweet Monday morning pushing back against some of the governors who have said in recent days that they hold the authority to decide when they reopen their state economies. He says, for the purpose of creating conflict and confusion, some in the fake news media are saying that it is the governor's decision to open up the states, not that of the president of the United States and the federal government. Let it be fully understood this is incorrect. Trump is flexing here. He's not, he doesn't have a 100% foundation on this. Again, he doesn't have the authority as president necessarily to do this. During Monday's White House coronavirus task force briefing, Trump again asserted his authority to override governors, saying the president of the United States calls the shots. When somebody's the president of the United States, the authority is total, and that's the way it's got to be. No, that's not the way it's got to be. But my point in all this is not that Trump is right. He's not. He's not correct that he has the absolute authority. The federal government does, though. Federal government does. And there are all sorts of constitutional provisions about states interfering with interstate commerce. They don't have the authority to do so. They can't, for example, levy some sort of tax. They can't, for example, stop trade between the states. They can't do that. How long their emergency powers last is always balanced by the Constitution. And if the federal government wants to make it a Supreme Court issue, they can actually do that. The federal government can push the Supreme Court to hear this case quickly because it's a matter of national emergency and a matter of national security. The economic engine of the United States is shut down, and the federal government may have the power to flex on the states in that case. We don't really have precedent for this. We don't have anything that says this. Even people who point to the fact that there were closures and stuff during the Spanish flu of 1918, that's great and wonderful. Those closures were citywide, individual, and they were somewhat temporary, and then they were rolling, right? The cities would open up and shut back down and all of that stuff. We do not have statewide shutdowns the way we do now. Just didn't. Lived in a different time, and that's okay. It was a different virus. That's not saying that that one's right and this one's wrong. I'm just saying we're in really uncharted territory about the authority being taken here, and the forces set up on either side of this are in uncharted territory as well. We have a president, not a Congress, going against governors, not state legislatures. Now, the state legislatures may agree with their governors, but we also have these appointed positions. It doesn't say that the state legislatures will appoint these people to the task forces. It says that the governors will. So we have state executive authority fighting against federal executive authority. And while the states do have rights under the 10th Amendment, we have real questions about whether states can issue into coalitions that will impact other states against the federal government. That's crazy. This is very, very different sort of territory than we normally have. So I want to point that out. Anybody who says that there's anything like this in history, it's not accurate. It just isn't. East Coast Group will study data research and the experience of other areas to deliver guidelines and parameters to go forward, Cuomo said. He described it as a sharing of information, research, and resources to come up with a consistent, if not complementary plan. Sure. Right. What resources? What information are they going to use? What studies? Does the public get to comment on it? Does the other party in the state get to comment on it? Do the Democrats in Massachusetts get to comment on the Republican plan? Cuomo said people who work in New York City come from across borders every day. They live in Connecticut and New Jersey, in addition to New York State, and it only makes sense for the states to work in a coordinated way. His workforce is my workforce. My workforce is his workforce. All these decisions affect everyone in the entire region. What this virus says is all of your lines and boundaries make no sense, Cuomo said, referring to New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy, another Democrat. Any states who want to join are welcome to join, Cuomo said, adding that he is in touch with Massachusetts. Wait, what? The goal of the group is to create a plan to reopen. This is weird. Right? Does that mean Massachusetts is in? Or that he's in touch with them? That's just a weird line. I don't know. The goal of the group is to create a plan to reopen each state in a way that limits new outbreaks of coronavirus. Among the plans are contact tracing, treatment, and social distancing measures. Cuomo noted that health officials in his state believe they have reached a plateau in cases, which he hailed as relatively good news. He added that a regional approach was necessary to avoid a resurgence in cases. While everyone is looking forward to reopening the economy, Cuomo said it was important to do so with a smart plan, step by step, evaluating data at each juncture. Do you guys believe that your governors have smart planning abilities? I don't. My governor, Tim Walz, came out today and suggested suggested, for example, that Minnesota may stay locked down until a vaccine comes out. You know, that's fine. That's only what? Another 14 months from now, by estimates. Who needs to work? Who needs to work for 18 months? Now, we're not actually shut down yet. I mean, we are shut down. We're not shut down for that long yet, but they extended it to halfway through May. And by the way, the legislature doesn't get much say in it, because they gave the governor emergency powers decades ago. Decades ago, they gave the governor these emergency powers. They didn't vote now. This is something else. All of the executive authority taken by all of these governors were vested in governors at a time when they weren't doing this. Right? Oh, we need these emergency powers in the future just in case something bad happens. Well, what's bad? Is this pandemic bad? Kind of looks bad, especially in New York. Oh my goodness. Got the almost half of the United States dead are in New York. Kind of looks bad there. Does it look so bad in Wyoming? Not really. Not as bad for sure, right? The farther the population generally is away from each other, different circumstances. That's reasonable to figure out. But even inside states, I think my county has two confirmed cases, something like that. I mean, am I at risk walking around my county? Not really. I can't get a haircut because 2 people in my geographical area have this virus. Now, the Twin Cities, of course, much higher population density, much more contact, much more travel between outside of the city, right? Lots of people come into the city and go. Might make some sense. I don't know. These are weird questions. Stuff that we don't really get to figure out so much. Because we just have to listen to our governors. That's the important part. This is what I'm getting back to. We established these powers a long time ago, and our Congress doesn't get to decide that they stop. That's the problem. I mean, they kind of can, maybe, but getting a bill through Congress is a lot more complicated than just having Congress say, no. Doesn't work that way. So our governor has basically unlimited authority. Yours probably does too. And it's probably a law passed decades ago that you couldn't vote for the person who voted for it on. This would be very, very different if your state legislatures voted to give, and maybe this happened in some state, I don't know. But if they voted to give a governor a set of emergency powers right now, not that they just took it. Whew. It's a mess. New York governor said it would be important to share information, resources, and intelligence. No one has done this before, he said. No other state has done it before. So it's one step forward after research, consultation with experts. I'm not a public health expert. I know. And this is the problem, right? Is that these governors are not public health experts. It has to be informed by experts and by data. That's great. But who, a non-expert, is choosing which experts to listen to? All of the talk about governments having all of the resources, they're all just led by a dummy like you or me. Literally, if I was your governor, the results would be different. The data would be the same. The experts submitting the data would be the same. But I might listen to a different expert than Cuomo. It's not just me and Cuomo, by the way. Whoever it is. Data will be the same. The experts that they listen to are different. And this happens all the time. This happens in court. I know this happens in court. We have conflicting expert testimony all the time. Let me tell you how it works in court. I had a case where I had to hire, we didn't end up having to, but taking this case to trial would have required hiring a geneticist because we had some genetic testing that we would be challenging. All right. We had some genetic testing, needed to challenge it, needed to cast doubt on the credibility of the genetic test. So I called a genetics expert. Called a guy with 20 years trial experience. His literal job was being an expert witness. Great. Fantastic. Good on the stand. An expert with PhDs in relevant fields. Said, okay, what's it cost? Like, well, it's, I don't remember how much it was up front. I think it was $4,000 up front. $2,000 a day. Traveling and lodging expenses. $2,000 a day. Plus travel, plus lodging, plus $4,000 up front. Now, do you think that guy, no matter his expertise, do you think that guy was going to charge me, we'll say $12,000 all told? Oh, they fly first class, by the way. You won't find them in coach. They fly first class. Let's say this guy's going to charge me $12,000. Do you think his opinion is going to be different than what my client needed for that case? Not that I would have any say. I'm not an expert. Do you think the man is going to take $12,000 and say that the genetic testing was good? No. No, of course not. How do you think government experts work? By the way, like, the point in all this is that there are experts with conflicting opinions, and who the governor picks is not done by an expert that's impartial. All right, let's get to another story real quick. Not going to do too much more of this. Let's do that Santa Cruz story. Santa Cruz 7. The LA Times. Los Angeles Times. We can always rely on the Times. Times of Los Angeles. Oh my God. Can we get rid of this stuff? Here we go. Oh, there's a couple super chats I need to address as well. Got Tucker. Says, doesn't the Constitution forbid interstate pacts and treaties like this? Not expressly, but when it comes to commerce, yeah, it's a problem. Same reason the Interstate National Popular Vote Compact is questionable constitutionally. It's questionable, but it's not automatically unconstitutional. This is a hot topic. It deserves a lot of attention. People must arm themselves at this point. That people should always be armed. Always. Intimidator 0108 says, happy belated Easter, Nick. Hey, happy Easter to you, buddy. Glad to hear that you and your family are well, and that you had a good Easter Sunday. Don't know if you've had time to see your Twitter DMs, but I sent a few pics of the FH4 Ty beard design. I have. You mentioned that you wanted to wait to reveal it until Ty was on, so I will do that. Rob Van Pelt says, I'm from Delaware, and Carney has been borderline reasonable, considering he's a Dem. Oh my gosh. He's gone further than I would have, but I've been astounded by people blindly going along with all of it because it's for the common good. Well, of course. So here we go. This is a story I wanted to cover. Out-of-towners who went to 7-Eleven for essential drinks are fined $1,000 each. A run to 7-Eleven came at a hefty price for 7 people Friday night, as Santa Cruz police cited them each $1,000 for violating local shelter-in-place rules. The gathering, which authorities called an expensive hangout, took place at a branch of the convenience store on Ocean Street, according to Santa Cruz Police Department. Police said the visitors were from Fremont, which is more than 40 miles away. Not smart, the department wrote on Facebook. Everyone should know by now that this is not the time to meet up and party. Oh, because they're meeting up and partying in the 7-Eleven? Is that what's going on? Or outside of it? What is this? Police said the ticket should help these guys remember their time in Santa Cruz. Hey, Santa Cruz PD, fist yourself. Fist yourself. All of Santa Cruz County has lived under a shelter-in-place order since March 16th. The same goes for Alameda County, where Fremont is located. Those guidelines, which are meant to help stem the spread of COVID-19, bar public gatherings, and stipulate that residents should leave their homes only for purposes deemed to be essential. Now, and listen to this. In the eyes of Santa Cruz Police Chief Andrew Mills, an out-of-town beer run didn't meet that standard. The quote, visitors came from Fremont to get some essential drinks. Essentially, they were all given $1,000 tickets for SIP violations, he wrote on Twitter. If you're not from Santa Cruz and you put our community at risk, you will get a ticket. As of Monday morning, there had been 88 confirmed coronavirus infections among Santa Cruz County residents. According to health officials, one person has died as a result of COVID-19 and 36 others have recovered. So here's the statewide stats. Notice, I mean, what did they violate? What did they actually violate? So 7 guys got in a car, truck, van, even a couple cars, and went to go buy beer. Can you not go buy beer? Can you not drive to a different city to buy beer? You have to buy beer at a specific store now? What is this? This is the problem with this story, is they're really light on a lot of details. Let's see. I guess we could check and see what they're... Oh my God. Yeah, I want my free COVID-19 coverage. Oh my... I guess we're not looking at it, boys, because that is apparently not COVID-19. Let me see if I can get this pulled up in an incognito window or something. I want to see what it says. I don't want to do this. How is this not COVID-19 coverage? It's a shelter-in-place order. All right. Well, too bad. Too bad. I guess I can't see what the Santa Cruz shelter-in-place order is. Maybe I can find it real quick here. Oh, do we have it? Here's the order. Okay, let's take a peek. Let's take a peek here. Here's a shelter-in-place order. We'll take a gander through this real quick. How many of you have looked at your shelter-in-place order to find out what you can actually do? What the government, what momverment has actually allowed you to do? Hive says, someone stole my donuts and now you're all gonna pay. This is how I literally feel every morning. Order the health officer of the county of Santa Cruz directing all individuals, blah, 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 shelter at their place of residence. They may leave there to provide or receive certain essential services or engage in certain essential activities and work for essential businesses and government services, exempting individuals experiencing homelessness from the shelter-in-place order, but urging them to find shelter and government agencies to provide it. If you're homeless, we don't care. Directing all businesses and governmental agencies to cease non-essential operations at physical locations, blah, blah, blah. Here's the intent. Order to shelter at their place of residence. To the extent individuals are using shared or outdoor spaces, they must at all times reasonably possible maintain social distancing of at least 6 feet from any other person when they are outside their residence. All persons may leave their residences only for essential activities, government functions, or operate essential businesses as defined in Section 10. Individuals, homelessness are exempt. Essential businesses are Section 10. All public and private gatherings of any number of people occurring outside a household or living unit are prohibited except for limited purposes as expressly permitted in Section 10. Nothing in this order prohibits the gatherings of members of a household or living unit. Interesting. All travel except essential travel defined in Section 10. Well, let's just go to Section 10. Definitions of exemptions. Because this is what they're going to argue in court, right? This is what they're going to argue. For purposes of this order, individuals may leave their residence only to perform any of the following essential activities, but people at high risk of severe illness and people who are sick are urged to stay in their residence. Yeah. All right. To engage in activities or perform tasks essential to their health and safety, or to the health and safety of their family or household members, including but not limited to pets. Such as, by way of example, only without a limitation, obtaining medical supplies or medication, visiting a healthcare professional, or obtaining supplies they need to work from home. To obtain necessary services or supplies for themselves and their family or household members, or to deliver those services or supplies to others, such as, by way of example, only and without limitation, canned food, dry goods, fresh fruits and vegetables, pet supply, fresh meats, fish and poultry, any other household consumer products, and products necessary to maintain the safety, sanitation, essential operation of residences. So any other household consumer products. I think liquor is a household consumer product. Off-sale liquor. To engage in outdoor activity, providing the individuals comply with social distancing requirements. To perform work providing essential products and services. And to care for family members or pets in another household. So they went to a store to buy stuff. Individuals may leave their residence to work at any healthcare operations, any work necessary to the operation and maintenance of essential infrastructure. Okay, so it's just here without limitation. So it's not limited to these things. By way of example, only without limitation. Canned food, dry goods, fresh fruits and vegetables, pet supply, fresh meats, fish and poultry, and any other household consumer products. And products necessary to maintain safety, sanitation, and essential operation of residences. Well, liquor is definitely to obtain essential operation of residences. But these aren't limited. This is not the limit to the list. 7-Eleven was open. They went to a 7-Eleven. They bought stuff. Did they violate the social distancing? No. That's not what the cops are saying. Cops are literally saying, you drove to the wrong 7-Eleven. Your kind ain't welcome here. They don't say anything that they were too close to each other. They're talking about a gathering. Well, what kind of gathering? How do they know if they're in a household unit? They don't know anything about it. Or, well, I shouldn't say they don't know. They don't disclose anything about it. They just we're so cool on social media about issuing $7,000 in fines. The citizens who are kind of looks like they're abiding by the order. No one said you can't go to a grocery store in a different city. It doesn't say to limit your travel to the closest available store, does it? What part of the order did they actually violate? They're saying it's a gathering. Is it a gathering? Guys going to the store, pooling resources? Do any of them have COVID? Did they ask? They don't have COVID. Who's at risk? It's just, this is the nonsense that makes me mad. You know, when you combine this with, what was it, Kentucky? By the way, that Kentucky guy, there, you want tyranny. Let's take a look at this one real quick. This is the last one we're going to do. It's the verdict. Okay. We've got a real fact check here, guys. This is perfect. Fact check. USA Today. Did Kentucky order police to record the license plates of Easter churchgoers? I don't know if you guys have heard, but there is a First Amendment. First Amendment does not cannot a state action. Let me translate the First Amendment into how Supreme Court jurisprudence has sculpted our view of it over the past 250 years. Can a state action is defined as any action of an agency of the state, including local and municipal governments, all the way down to cities, townships, villages, county boards, any of that. Does the state action prevent the free exercise of religion? If so, if it does, then you're infringing upon an enumerated right in the First Amendment, and therefore it must pass strict scrutiny, which means it must be narrowly tailored to achieve a compelling government purpose, which means that it can't be overbroad, it can't be too vague, it must be the least restrictive means possible to achieve that purpose. Okay. Claim Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear, and by the way, just type in Andy Beshear sexy into your, well, don't do it. Do it in incognito mode into your browser, and you will see the media absolutely fawning over this weirdo. They love having tyrannical Kentucky balls right in their gullet. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. And the more Andy Beshear tells these government bootlicks that calls them makes them call him daddy or whatever, the more they love him. I'm not even joking. Here we go. Religious services were a flashpoint of debate in Kentucky when social distancing requirements collided with Sunday's Easter holiday. Now, here's the thing. Here's the thing that you won't find in a lot of the stories. All of the churches that I've heard about actually were engaging in social distancing within the church. So you couldn't sit within 6 feet of another person. They weren't like shaking hands. They didn't do the like communion thing where you run up or have the plate. They were enacting social distancing within the church, which shockingly churches are sometimes big and they have reduced attendance already. But Saturday, conservative pundit Todd Starnes published an article accompanying his weekly podcast that said Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear, a Democrat, ordered the Kentucky State Police to record the license plates of people attending church services on Easter Sunday. This is what we call a chilling effect, right? If you tell people, look, if you show up at that church, we're going to have a state trooper come up and record your license plates, and then you're going to have an ankle bracelet on your leg, and we're going to put a guard outside your house, and you're going to stay in your fucking house, peasant. You do that, and then you've chilled their right of free exercise. You haven't directly infringed on it. You didn't stop them from going to church. But the government order does actually prevent people from going to church who otherwise would have freely exercised their religion and their right to assembly. We've got two, at minimum, plus speech, plus a lot of others, two fundamental rights being infringed. Criticisms of the move circulated widely on social media, including from members of Kentucky's congressional delegation. Taking license plates at church, quarantining someone for being Christian on Easter Sunday. Someone needs to take a step back here. Senator Rand Paul tweeted, like a robot. I imagine he sounds like a robot when he tweets too. The same week Jews celebrate freedom from bondage and Christians celebrate freedom from death, Governor Beshear is going to be in your church parking lot scanning your license plate. Rep Tom Massey tweeted, "What the actual hell," he wrote. Social distancing in the Bluegrass State, adapting to social distancing requirements. Churches around the country prepared to celebrate Easter at a distance this year, many planning to hold virtual masses and services in lieu of large gatherings where COVID might spread. Several churches in the Bluegrass State intended to go forward with in-person services despite a stay-at-home order issued by the governor. In response, the state took more stringent measures. Friday, Beshear and the State Department of Health issued an emergency order, making it a misdemeanor to attend mass gatherings of people. "Folks, we shouldn't have to do this," Beshear said at news conferences. "What we're asking is for you to love your neighbor as yourself." We shouldn't have to do this. You don't. You don't have to do this. You don't, and you can't. The governor said that as of Friday, 6 churches still plan to hold in-person services. Anyone attending such a gathering will be notified it is a misdemeanor violation of the emergency orders issued by the governor and Kentucky Department for Public Health. A news release about the order said, literally criminalizing the attendance of church. Saturday, the governor promised that the state is not going to padlock doors or arrest pastors. Oh, thanks. Thanks, fucker. Recording license plate numbers, he said, is an effort to say that if you're going to make the decision to go to a mass gathering during this pandemic, it shouldn't affect other people. The churches continued with their plans despite the governor's order. At Maryville Baptist Church in Hillview, state police waited for worshipers as they arrived for the morning service on Easter Sunday. Before Bashir's order Friday, other officials had issued warnings to the church not to hold the service. Conflict between state and local officials mandating social distancing and faith leaders insisting on religious gatherings has taken place across the country as policies meant to protect public health collide with other people's spiritual commitments. More than 99.8% of the Commonwealth's houses of worship canceled in-person services this weekend, Bashir said in a statement Sunday evening. Only about 7 congregations held in-person services. Disregarding the governor's executive order banning mass gatherings and repeated warnings from local, state, and federal health officials that these services risk Kentuckians' lives. Guess what? They get to do it. I know this. I know this is hard. But rights don't exist when they're safe. Rights only exist when there is a risk. That's it. Otherwise, it's not a right. It's just a thing. Your right to own a gun is the risk that you will accidentally kill someone with it. Or purposefully. Or shoot yourself because you're a random redneck cleaning out the barrel with your mustache or something. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Your right to speech doesn't exist because you're nice. It exists to say that Suzy Lou's forehead is the size of a goddamn drive-in movie theater. That's it. That's your right. That's when free speech exists. It doesn't exist if you're being polite. Ever. Let's see. Individuals who attended these in-person services will be required to self-quarantine for 14 days in order to limit the impact of their actions on other people. A statement from the governor's office said they can't do this. Lock you in your home? That's a deprivation of your liberty. You can't do that. Where's the due process? Where's their hearing? Where's their right to an attorney? Where is it? Where's the Fourth Amendment? Where's their Fourth Amendment right to not have their license plate scanned? What if someone borrowed their car? What if it wasn't even their car? What if the driver of the car stayed home? What if someone sold their car to someone else and because of the way that the government is shut down, couldn't effect a title transfer? What if that happened? Our ruling true. We rate this claim true as it is supported by our research and reporting. States across the country have varied in how they handled religious gatherings during the coronavirus pandemic. In Kentucky, the governor prohibited such mass gatherings. Reports from the state suggest that Bashir sought to enforce his order as he warned he would. Get him out. Get him out. Impeach him. That's a flagrant violation of the Constitution. This is what we're dealing with. Now, look, if you don't go to church, it might not matter to you. Might not. We don't know if they did that at a synagogue. We don't know if they did that at a mosque. We don't know if they did that at a druidic temple. Do druids have temples? We don't know if there was a Buddhist monastery that got the same treatment. We don't know. So there could be a religious discrimination aspect. I'm not even getting there. They can't do it at all. Bryce Byerly says, does the Santa Cruz order mention fines? Are they just maxing out the misdemeanor fine? I'm curious how they come up with these fines. I think they're just maxing out the misdemeanor fine. Polyfrog64 says, how do you feel about red flag laws? Terrible. I think they're garbage. A young man with no criminal history allegedly was in unlawful possession of a firearm. Police fired into his bedroom, striking him and his pregnant girlfriend. No body cam footage yet. Oh, yeah, I've heard about that guy. Absolutely crazy. I don't like when police shoot civilians at all. I think it's atrocious. What are you going to do? Brigand231 says the state Supreme Court put out a temporary restraining order against the order. Good. Good. Did they do it before Sunday? Did they get it out in time, or is that today? So, anyway, guys, that's what I got. Closing thoughts on the coronavirus is I will grudgingly accept that the initial coronavirus orders were in the interest of public health. I will. And maybe they were reasonable somewhat. Maybe. I can't fully go that far because I haven't looked at all of them. I still think that they're probably an infringement of civil liberties that's not permissible. But let me take the argument that they are permissible. Let me take the argument that they are noble. The danger is not in what has happened yet. The danger is in what happens next. What happens next? Some of your neighbors, if you're at work, some of your neighbors aren't. Who's it going to benefit? Who does all this benefit? The Fed, the Minneapolis branch of the Fed, the head of that thing, has come out saying that, we should prepare for 18 months of rolling shutdowns. What does that mean? Does it mean you're going to be locked in your house all the time? No, it just means that you might be locked in your house at any particular time, which means you effectively can't plan for anything. You can't travel. What are you going to do? You're going to book a plane 2 months out if you might have a restrictive order next month. What about 6 months out? Can't do it. Our business is going to plan their inventory for this stuff if they could be shut down for another 2 months. If you have any perishable goods in your business, you can't do it. How are you going to plan your payroll? But who benefits from an 18-month shutdown? Rolling shutdowns that are unpredictable. The Fed. Why? Because the US government's going to borrow from the Fed to print money to give us stimulus. They have to. They're taking away our ability to work. They have to pay for stuff. Of course the Fed's going to benefit. Who's going to benefit? The politicians who kept you safe, right? Politicians who make it really scary to go out and elect that non-incumbent. I don't know. The question is, how far our civil liberties end up going as this goes on, and for how long it goes on. You don't get any say in it. Maybe eventually states are going to start standing up to their governors, but right now, most of your states can't. They can't do anything. If the legislature tried to pass a bill, you'd need a 2/3 majority in both houses to override the executive veto. What are you going to do? What states have supermajorities in their legislatures to override a governor? The way our elections work, many states have governors that agree with at least one house. Minnesota, House Democrats, you think they're going to go against a Democratic governor on this? We have all sorts of fun bills of defiance. There's one in Minnesota now. A bill has been introduced into the House by Republicans to tell the governor that the legislature wants its say. Good luck getting that past the Democrat-controlled House with the Democrat governor. If they do, then it goes to the Republican Senate and maybe it gets passed there. But it's got to be passed by 2/3 majorities in both houses. Otherwise, the governor veto. He'll just veto it. Nah. You don't get to do anything. It's not going to work. All right, guys. Let me read through these super chats. I'll answer any questions that have popped up throughout the stream, and then I'm going to take a quick break to go to the bathroom, and then we'll be on Twitch. All right. Let's see here. Okay. Phoenix Lord Asserman says, rewatched your 40K stream last night, and after listening to how much you hated the Harlequins versus Custodies fight in Throne World, I decided to look into it. It was surprisingly good despite the Eldar's plan making no sense. It's well written. I just hated how easily they killed the Custodians. I mean, it was like Custodians were disposable trash. I didn't like that. They're really, really tough, and they're just getting dropped like candy. Arcade USA says, big ups for the knowledge you share. Stay healthy. Hey, thanks, buddy. Grandfather Nurgle says, yo, Nick, don't know if you heard, but Phil said on his stream today that his Nintendo Switch isn't a business asset because a fan donated it. Yeah, that's a problem. Chengiz Khan says, knowing DSP's track record, that cockroach will find a way to survive bankruptcy. Well, bankruptcy is intended for you to survive. I mean, that's the goal of bankruptcy. That's its purpose, so. Crusader Saracen says, would we be allowed to tell China we're even Stevens on the 10 trillion in debt we owe them and to suck our star-spangled nuts if they don't like it? Very much like to do that, as good as an opportunity as any. I mean, we could always do that. There is no enforcement of that between states. So the US can honor or cancel any debt at once with any other country. Question is the diplomatic fallout from it. Can we? Yeah, sure. Will we? Doubt it. Chengiz Khan says, come on, everyone, let's give up our rights permanently to survive a temporary problem. It's for the greater good. Knight of Hopex says, devil's advocate. Isn't the governors getting together and deciding what states want to do to deal with a crisis part of federalism? Not when it involves commerce across state borders. It really depends on what they want to do. But interstate commerce, we've expanded interstate commerce so much so now that you not buying something in your state impacts commerce in a different state. It's hard to suddenly argue that interstate commerce is not impacted by a state keeping its borders closed. Isn't that what we'd prefer to the misinterpretation of interstate commerce the SCOTUS courts currently embrace? If all else being equal, yeah, but that's not what we have. And why would it suddenly apply here but nowhere else? No. Nope. I don't like it. Jivsef says, once courts open up and the session that has been delayed until courts are open are done, would there be massive amount of cases related to the action that has been taken upon the people? Maybe. It depends on how big the fines are. Those guys in California should fight all of them. All of them. $1,000 fines. $1,000. It's a bit much. No justification for that. Again, the cops would probably be justified in sending those guys home, saying don't do it again, breaking it up. But they got to get back in the same car, right? Like, it's not like if they all traveled there in one or two cars, which that's the only way it's a gathering, I would assume. They all did that. They still got to send them home. Those fines don't stop them from doing what happened. It's very weird. Unknown Existence says, hey, Nick, are you familiar with the former gaming channel Super Best Friends Play? It's continued to trash DSP skill at gaming when are only marginally better themselves. Is that Angriest Pat? Is he one of the Super Best Friends? I mean, I'm relatively very tangentially familiar just because I know Peach. So I don't know if that's Angriest Pat, then I'm familiar because I know Peach. That's about it, though. 113657 says, here's a quarter that you owe Sword and Scale. Yeah, we did pass 16,000 dead, so I do owe him a quarter. Joshua Young says, Suzy screwed? Mr. Pingus Power says, have you read any of the MIT Review of Technology articles from the last week? The editor basically calls for an end to the 4th and 10th Amendments. No, I haven't, and that would probably drive me to death. Frozen Gamer says, hey, Nick, just reminding you to send me the pic and transparent logo for the interview thumbnail. We'll go up Wednesday at 8 a.m. Pacific. Oh, yeah. Sorry, buddy. I'll get that to you. Lover of All Souls says, hey, guys, since Corona-chan hates me and is placed a hit on my laptop and wallet. Can you guys help me at GoFundMe / work computer repair / replacement? Work computer repair / replacement. That's how that works out. So you guys can check that out if you want. GoFundMe / work computer repair / replacement. Arcade says, big ups for the knowledge you share. Stay healthy. Hey, thanks. Thank you. Caldeo the Horse says, Tevin's Twitter is at DJ Chisel, big ups based Oslo. Okay, I'll have to reach out to him. Racket's Antediluvian IT skills says, if you do a DSP show, get It's a Gundam on. He's funny. I reached out to him on Twitter. He kind of responded, said he'd consider it. Angry Baneling says, love the surprise cameo on EVS's show, by the way. Show up more often and stay longer. Praise the Sun and Nick. Look, daytime streams are hard for me. I had a guy in my comments just today. He's like, when do you, what's your schedule like? I'm like, I don't know. I go to bed at like 5 or 6 in the morning and I wake up at like 11 or noon. That's my schedule. And then he's like, well, how do you watch your kids? Well, I have a wife. I mean, it's the joys of being married, right? We have 2 people to help out with managing the chitlins. And then he said something along, what was it? Seems rough on the wife or whatever. And it was like, but I'm home all the time. If there's something that needs to be done, she just wakes me up. Like, it doesn't mean I'm not able to be awake at 8. Like, if Lady Raggeds needs me to help out with kids, she just says, hey, can you help out? And I go, oh, yeah, sure. And I wake up and do it. Weird. But daytime streams are difficult to me because of having the kids, because when I am awake and they're awake, when those 2 stars align every single day, there's a lot of time spent with them. As Cybertaz says, if Tevin is busy and Jim's still distracted by Corona, get It's a Gundam on about DSP. Quarter Pounder didn't do his research. Oh man, poor Quarter Pounder. Yellow Flash 2 says, hit up Soma Julius Cruz for your DSP stream. Oh my goodness. Memology 101 is currently working on an animated show about DSP. Hope we can have you as a character. Yeah, Memology, just message me, buddy. Nick SF says, just imagine it, Burnell Productions, a business that exists in a 10-foot by 15-foot room, filing for Chapter 13. Sounds good. That'd be great. Sakaki Onside says, DSP cash machine go brrrr. Sunspot Gallery says, thanks. You're welcome. Nick SF says, I've seen punching bags with smaller foreheads. Rude. It's rude. I'm sure you're definitely talking about me and not Suzy Lou. Harry Thompson says, so Nick, would Mystery Science Theater 3000 count as transformative to the work? Like I said, probably. They probably are transformative, but I believe they get licenses anyway. Mike Testa says, NBA says people quit bugging her. She flags, by the way. NBA wants people to quit bugging Suzy Lou. Okay. That's great. And she flags. It sounds like she bangs. What was that Ricky, what's his face song? Whatever. J.R. Lorenzo says, please check your Twitter DMs from me. Hello there at Doctor Who Fan 105 regarding reaction videos. Couldn't fit the question in a super chat. Well, I'll take a quick look. Let's see. I'm not going to read this on air. I'll respond to you in private, buddy. I'll respond to that in private. Brandon Cavallero says, do you really think that people are not watching anime just to watch her vids? I would guess not. I don't know. Not really about what I think, though. That being said, she adds nothing to the content at all. Look, it's easy to argue that you're watching the entire episode of My Hero Academia and suffering through an annoying redhead while doing it. I mean, that's just like sitting down watching anime with a bad date already, right? Like, there's nothing, that's not something weird. That's just you invited a ginger over for anime and chill, and she was annoying during the show. Yolvergen says, hey Nick, love the book reviews. Hope to see one about Dorn. Keep being you, bud. Hey, thanks, man. Did you see my new one? I've got an unlisted video up. As soon as unless the thumbnail got done today, I don't know if it did, but as soon as the thumbnail goes up, that video will go public. I did an Easter one covering Robute and Vulcan for the Resurrection theme. So if you haven't seen that one, there's another one coming up. The next thing I'm going to review is actually the Gaunt's Ghost, one of the Gaunt's Ghost boxes. I have two, I think. I have the Sabbath Worlds one, and I have another one. Sorry. It's up. Oh, cool. Thank you. I forgot to check before the stream. Next. Phoenix Lord Asserman says, Doug has Mike on his streams a lot. You could try asking him to get you in contact. Oh yeah, Mike Nelson. I would love to. What I want Doug to do is to come to Minnesota when we're not on lockdown and introduce me to Mike in person. That would be great. Kidda says, local PD informed us that our civil liberties are superseded by the safety of our society while bragging about forcing our local 40K store closed. I love the police. I really do. They're wonderful people. Sometimes they're just misinformed. Wasser A, thank you for the donation. Skeet Meat says you should read and review Empress Teresa. Okay. Cemetery Lady says it was a gathering of juggalos. What would it be a jiggle of juggalos? Would that be like, what would you've got one of my favorites is Murder of Crows, or like a gaggle of geese. What would be a group of juggalos called? Andrew Binns says, starting a GoFundMe to get your wife some good clippers. Your neck hair haunts my dreams. I asked her to do it, and then we were busy, so she just didn't. A carnival of juggalos? I like that one. That one's good. Carnival's great. Welfare line. Phoenix Lord Azerman says, custodians are disposable trash compared to properly equipped harlequins. Now please cry for Segarok finds it amusing. How dare you? How dare you? You know that's not true. Brandon Cavallero says, could China face repercussions for letting the virus spread throughout the world? Only if the world wants to make it have repercussions. Blaine 20 says, if the Magnificent Seven challenged the fines and you defended them, how do you think you would argue? I'd argue they complied with the shelter-in-place order. That they have a right to go out and get supplies. That the government cannot determine what store is acceptable for them to travel to. The government cannot restrict them from traveling across city lines or municipal lines that are arbitrary. They can't do that. I mean, they flat out said it's for essential drinks, which you are allowed to go out and buy liquor. They didn't say that they were violating social distancing. And now they may put something else in their criminal complaints, but they went ahead and tweeted out a different narrative than what would go in the criminal complaints. Didn't mention social distancing at all. Said it was a gathering. It's not a gathering. What's a gathering? Define what a gathering is. Going to a store together, pooling resources with people who are otherwise healthy, and carpooling, if they even did that, isn't a gathering. You are allowed to buy drinks, and they can't restrict you going to a different city just because they don't want you in their city. They don't get to do that. There is no, look, people from Fremont can't shop here. That's not a real thing. Doesn't exist that way. And that's the way the police framed it in their social media posts. You could also argue that the $1,000 fines are arbitrary and capricious, unnecessary to enforce the stay-at-home order. that's the argument in the alternative, that even if they did violate it, the fines were unnecessary. The police officers could have just sent them home, and the fines did nothing to actually prevent the activity from occurring, which had already occurred at the time. So, you know, and of course you just argue that the order itself is unconstitutional. That as well. It's unconstitutionally overbroad. It's unconstitutionally vague. I mean, other household goods, what does that even mean? What is that limiting? It says it's not limited to it, but it seems to be, because I would argue that a beer is a household good, even though I don't drink it. So anyway, there's a lot of angles for them to attack. Caldeo the Horse says, hit up GTG LSB and Agent Proper of the DIA. Oh, okay. Malik Foxton says, why don't people just let you worry about your kids? I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, there are very many people concerned about my family. I can tell you that they're all good. We're good. I'm a stay-at-home dad who works from home. I have a little bit different sleep schedule than other people. I don't drink during the day. I don't know. They have food. They have toys. I mean, they don't have arms or legs anymore. We got rid of those because they were moving around too much. But Joshua Young says, Almighty Tevin Uber Alice. Thank you. No one important says, look, just because her large shiny forehead reflects back from the screen to the camera like a projector to a movie screen doesn't mean it's copyright. DCV Titan says, a shame of juggalos. A shame. A shame. Phoenix Lord Asterman says, I have the book to prove it's true. You do not. No one has that book. It doesn't exist. Bone Zone says, who remembers the Dick Maddox days of law-splaining? Oh, man, I do. Simple times back then. How's it going, Bone Zone? How you doing, buddy? Cemetery Lady says, a group of juggalos is a posse. A posse of juggalos. Well, thanks, guys. That's what we've got for the show. I really do appreciate people coming out. Oh, Esme says, Nick, you're missed. Thanks for your stream. Thank you, Esme, for being here and supporting the show. Really appreciate it. If I will be on Twitch playing some more Doom Eternal tonight. Got to get back into it after a nice little break. And if you want to come to the Twitch show, come do it. The link is in the description. Otherwise, I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'm not sure what show. Actually, I'm not 100% sure I'm doing a show tomorrow. I'll try and announce it. We have a couple special shows to do. We're trying to arrange a Chad Dad chat on Friday for people who like Chad Dad chats. It's been a while since I've had everybody on. We may have a guest on the Chad Dad chat as well. So if you need parenting, dadding advice, or just husband advice or whatever, or you want to just hear, some old guys complain about stuff, come hang out. So, all right. And finally, Stooge Muffin 7 says, Suzy has an 8 head. Wow. Oh my goodness. And Blaine 20 says, Corona lives matter. Yeah. Who's speaking up for the ethical implications of killing off this virus? That's what I want to know. That's what I want to know. Who's speaking up for the trillions of lives lost daily to antibodies? Andrew War Snowbird says, 4 more hours, kill that liver, BoomerCon when? No, and I don't know. Can't do anything now, right? The social distance. All right, guys. Thanks for joining me tonight. If you want to come see me on Twitch, see me there. Otherwise, see you soon. Peace. Peace.
Part of the plan. Watch his face become redder as he becomes meta. Raging at idiots from Twitterland.
Delph Walker says, make Nick do the purr dance again. What's the purr dance?
So pour out a glass for the ones who have passed to make the law what we have now. Oh, his lady is fair, and she handles herself with the grace of one who has borne many children. As the wife of a lawman, she makes sure that he has the time and the place to provide for them there. So pour out an art bag, a bow, more a love rug. The spirits flow as the ones who get unemployed. So pour out a glass for the tea post on Twitter as we hear Lost Blaming tonight. From the white shores of Nam to the hills of Glenlivet, there's no one who explains the law better than Nick. So pour out a glass for the ones who have passed to make the law what we have now. Oh, the guests are all planet folks from Dante to Drexel. They bring their perspective and spice to the mix. But the reason we're here and the one that we cheer is the one who is showcasing us his career. Get unemployed. So pour out a glass for the tea post on Twitter as we hear Lost Painting tonight. From the white shores of Nairn to the hills of Glenlivet, there's no one who explains the law better than Nick. So pour out a glass for the ones who have passed to make the law what we have